6 in the morning, Elizabeth is invited to dinner. A public conversation ensued, in which he was happy to acknowledge God's greatness. Beanley, the answer isn't that great. Jane is fine. When the sisters heard this, they repeated 3 or 4 times how sad they were, how dangerous they were to have a high fever, and how much they disliked the disease. Then he could reconsider the matter. And since his indifference to Jane was not yet before them, he gave Elizabeth great joy with his utmost rage. His brother was the only member of the group watching him. His interest in Jane was obvious, and his interest in her made him happy and uncomfortable, because he was sure that others would notice him. He never discussed himself with anyone. Miss Beanley was busy with Mr. Darcy, was rejected by his younger brother, and under the master was a gay man who lived with Hurst Elizabeth, who only ate, drank and played cards. When she saw that she had chosen waterless bread over bad, she did not speak to him. After dinner, he returned to Jane, and as soon as Beanley's wife left the room, the woman began to chase him. His conduct was very bad, mixed with pride and filth. No story, style or beauty. Miss Hurst thought about this, saying, "In short, he is still riding well. I will never forget what he will see this morning. He will be very angry." "That's right, Louise. I can't see my face. I don't have to tell you now. I don't want to ruin this wonderful time. Why run home because it's cold? Sister, his meaningless hair and beautiful." "Yes, it was a skirt. Expect to see the hem 6 inches in the dirt, and for sure. And the shirt was taken to hide those who were not alive." "Maybe your picture is right, Louisa," Beanley said. "But it was all gone. I walked into the room early in the morning, thinking that Mrs. Elizabeth Bennet looked so good. To me it was impossible to tell if the clothes were dirty." "You see, Mr. Darcy, I'm sure," Beanley said, "and I've tried to think you don't want to see your brother do demonstrations." "No." "Walk 3 miles, or 4 miles, or 5 miles, or whatever, fingers down, and one very old. What does this mean? It embarrasses me to describe the independent pride, a charming rural charm." "It was great to show love to my brother," Beanley said. "I'm afraid, Darcy," said Beanley of the Hurricane, "that this trip will affect your courage in his beautiful eyes." "No," he replied. "He enjoyed the exercise." These words were followed by a brief pause, followed by Miss Hurst. "I have a lot of respect for Miss Jane Bennet. She was a very kind woman, and I wish her well. But men and women, and relationships like that, I'm not afraid of opportunity." "I think I heard you say that their uncle is Meryton's lawyer." "Yes, and he has another one. Stays somewhere on Cheapside." "That's the capital," said his sister, and they were both alone. "If they have enough brothers to fill the entire Cheapside," Beanley lamented, "they couldn't make up their minds to accept it." "But their chances of marrying celebrities around the world should be reduced," Darcy replied. So far, Beanley has not responded, but his sisters give him a strong bond, and the animal changes for a while, destroying the relationship of his best friend. However, she returned to her room for lunch, and stayed with her until she ordered coffee. He was very poor, and Elizabeth would not let him until nightfall, when he found solace in seeing him asleep, and as if he looked better than pleasure. It has to go down. When he entered the living room, he saw the whole household were in the lavatory, and was invited to join them. But thinking he was growing up, he refused, apologising to his brother for laughing at him for a short time in which he could have been smaller, as well as a letter. He looked at Mr. Hurst, her in surprise. "Would you like to read the cards?" said. "He's very lonely." "Oh, Mrs. Eliza Bennet," said Miss Beanley, said. I don't like cars. They read well and have no interest in other cases. I should not be praised or criticised, Elizabeth said. I don't understand very well, and I like a lot of things. I gave your brother a chest and sure you were happy, Bingley said, and I hope to add more in the near future by becoming more attractive. Elizabeth thanked him from the bottom of her heart, and then went to the table with many books. He was surprised to see others. Everyone was in his library. And I want to contribute more to your welfare and glory, but I am lazy, and even if I am not enough, I will still see more than anything else I have ever seen. Elizabeth assured him that it suited the people living there. To my surprise, said Mrs. Bingley, my father may have had a little book left. Pemberley's library, Darcy, is so beautiful. It should be good, he replied, and it should be the work of many generations. And you got it. You bought a lot of books. I will never forget to ignore the family library on a day like this. Leave her alone. I am sure that you are looking for something that can add beauty to this special place. Charles, when you built your house, I hoped it would be as beautiful as Pemberley. Oh, I could. But I urge you to buy in the area and take the Pemberley test. There is no better province in England than Derbyshire. With all my heart, I'll buy Pemberley myself when Darcy sells it. I am talking about expertise, Charles. Well, I think, Caroline, it's better to sell to Pemberley than to try. Elizabeth played so much in the past that she didn't care about her book, and as soon as he fell, he went to the table of cards and sat in the middle of Mr. Bingley and his older sister watched the game. Is Miss Darcy growing up from the year? Said Miss Bingley. Is he taller than me? I thought she was coming. She was as tall as Miss Elizabeth Bennet or more. Oh, how long will I see him again? I have never met anyone who loves me. His face, respect, and the most successful of his years. What he did in the piano was amazing. It amazes me, says Bingley, how girls are so patient with the best they can do. All the girls are doing well. Dear Charles, what do you mean? Yes, everyone, I think. They all set the table, covered their sacks, and took the sacks with them. I didn't know anyone who didn't do it all, and I knew I never heard a woman speak for the first time, let alone one. There are so many facts on your list of how things are done, Darcy said. The term is used to add a lot of inappropriate women to the cover of the website, or windows. But I don't agree with you comparing most women. I can't be happy to say that half of a dozen, all I know, is accomplished. Of course not, said Miss Bingley. Well, you have to understand what you think to be a worthy woman, said Elizabeth. That's right. I hear a lot there. Oi, pasty! Cried her loyal aide. No one is honest that she did not go beyond what we are experiencing. Air and movement requirements, tone of voice, address and facial expression, or half voice if necessary. He has to have it, said Darcy, and in this case he has to add another, in order to change his mind and read it completely. I wouldn't be surprised because you only know 6 women. I want to know now that you already know her. Are you suffering from a woman you can't believe? I have never seen such a woman. I have never seen such potential, taste, ingenuity and beauty, as you say about Unity. Mrs. Hurst and Mrs. Bingley pleaded guilty to the charges, and he was also aware of the women who responded, calling it Hurst, and bitterly complaining that he didn't know what was going on. In fact, Elizabeth immediately left the room. Elizabeth Bennet, said the lady, Bingley, who shuts the doors, is one of those girls who want to have sex with other men, and there are so many men, I have to say, I think it's a difficult tool and skill. There's no question about it, Darcy replied, adding that it is clear that all the skills that women use in sports are about fraud. Miss Bingley was not satisfied with her response. joined the company and said that her brother was modern and could not leave. Beanley encouraged Mr. Jones' throne, but his brother, who was convinced that he could not handle any suitable work in the country, brought in the image of the city as one of the most famous doctors. We never heard of it, but they would not follow the advice of their brethren, and also agreed that Jones would be sent early, in case Miss Bennet fails. Beanley is not cheap. His brother said they were sad. They spread food problems after dinner, even though they did not have good comfort in their minds, as they talked to take the donor to their sick brothers and sisters. Until next week. And under the master was a gay man who lived with Hurst Elizabeth, who only ate, drank, and played cards. When she saw that she had chosen waterless bread over bad, she did not speak to him.
Beanley has not responded. I think he has. He's never shut up. But his sisters give him a strong...
When he entered the living room, he saw the whole household were in the lavatory and was invited to join them.
I'm sorry, I haven't rehearsed this, by the way. This is like the first time reading this. I didn't even read it when I just got it out of Google Translate. And moving on. He looked at Mr. Hurt in surprise. I don't know who the hell Mr. Hurt is, but...
Got a picture of John Hurt at this point.
Yes.
He looked at Mr. Hurst, her in surprise.
Who that bloody hell is actually talking about? I've lost track. That's what I was reading. It is Mr. Hurst. Now, Mrs. Hurst and Mrs. Beanley pleaded guilty to the charges. Yes, I suppose it should be really, shouldn't it? Fair enough.
Yeah.
I would plead guilty.
Okay.
Well,
Mrs. Hurst and Mrs. Bingley.
I gave your brother a chest and sure you were happy, Beanley said, and I hope to add more in the near future by becoming more attractive.
Because I think actually it should be Beanley speaking. I don't know if I'd bother to... Oh, well maybe I would, okay.
I gave your brother a chest and sure you were happy, Beanley said, and I hope to add more in the near future by becoming more attractive.
Oh. That's gone.
It has, yeah. Do you want to just do the... It's only like 3 lines
Okay.
left.
We come a bit closer
Anyway.
on this side. Don't turn the camera, we can get more into this slide.
It will be fine. Anyway, they spread food problems up.
Speaking about, well, it can only be Miss Beanley because no one else would call him Charles. So.
Dinner. Even though they did not have good comfort in their minds, as they taught to take the donor to their sick brothers and sisters. That's the end of the chapter.